Miguel Lloyd, host of Light Full Circle Radio. And so, special week. Thanksgiving is this week. And so, we know we're not going to be around for Thanksgiving. We ain't going to lie to y'all, act like we're going to be here because we're not. We're going to be with our families on Wednesday and Thursdays. But, I tried to hold off. I held off as long as I could. I told the super producer, I'm going to give y'all, she wanted to act like having babies and a family and all that stuff is more important than seeing Wakanda Forever. What is this girl thinking about? And so anyway, we finally saw it. So now it's time. Let's go. Yo.
What's up?
How you doing?
Thank you. Okay, let me just say this to Miguel. Thank you so much for having grace. Because I know you wanted to spoil it so many times. The day after he saw it, he's like, "You saw it yet?" I was like, "We just talked about this. I did not see it yet, so no." He's like, "All right, bye." I was like, "Okay."
Yo, I was just like, "Yo, we did two shows," and he was like, "I was like, you see it yet?" He's like, "I'm gonna see it this weekend." I said, "Yo."
But we went this past Saturday. Me, Mama Blanche, and Omar. We went to go see it. Shout out to the intern Alexis who watched the kids so we could go.
Okay.
Mama Blanche fell asleep in 45 minutes. I don't even think it was 45 minutes, but she said, y'all picked a movie that was late. I was already tired. This movie started at 8:45. I don't know. Like, what did you expect? Miguel, I looked over at my mom because I had the popcorn bucket before we get started. And I was going to pass it down to her. Is what I saw.
She was out.
I was like, okay.
I love Mama Blanche. Oh, I swear for goodness, I love her.
All right, so let's get started. There's a lot to jump into. I know a lot of people are going to be in the comments because I think it was a great movie, but there were some issues. So where would you like to start?
So I want to start off at the beginning because
Perfect. Let's go.
The thing about it was, and I'm trying to because I want to get a nice little shot. Thing about it was, I'm so glad that they started off with T'Challa from the very beginning. And Chadwick Boseman from the very beginning, because we've been waiting, we've been dealing with this now. I guess Chadwick's been gone 2 years.
He's been gone for 2 years.
And the stress and the fact that the brother was gone. Everybody, for those of you who are out there who just like, man, it's just a movie, man, y'all can go to hell. Just flat out. and I mean that with all love, because Chadwick was that guy that we all loved. Chadwick was a good dude. He was a great actor. He brought this character to life. I'm trying to think, you have Blade. Like, what other black superheroes? And of course, we had Blade. You know what I mean? Of black superheroes that we had. And
what was that Shaquille movie where he played a genie?
We had Blade, and then we had Black Panther. And Chadwick did an amazing job bringing this character to life. In a world that we just didn't see superheroes very often, from his first appearance, and I want to say it was one of the Captain America movies was the first one.
It was Captain America: Civil War.
Civil War was the first one he came in, and so for it to come in at the very beginning of the movie, for people just tuning in, yes, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Black Panther,
all the spoilers.
We about to go through all the spoilers, and just stay, because if y'all ain't seen it by now, enough people done told y'all done came across the internet, done seen most of it. Yes, Sheri is the new Black Panther, blah, 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 blah. We getting all that. So stop. We're not there yet.
Okay, so here, I'll moderate the conversation because I tend to do a better job. So the movie literally opens with everybody in the lab running around trying to save T'Challa. Yep. She has a new AI system, Shuri, that's saying his heartbeat is at this rate. And what I didn't realize that she was trying to recreate that
the herb, the flower, the herb.
The herb. I didn't know. Does it have a name?
It's they call it the herb, and it's something else they call it, but I'm sure some comic book people in the background will tell us. You guys don't know. And here's for all you comic book people out here, come for me. I'm bring it on.
Our comic book realist and our comic books commentator is actually on the other side of this wall. Omar, can you please let me know what that herb is called? Thank you so much. Yeah. But she's trying to recreate it. And here you come. Yes. So what's it called? Okay. That was weird. And she can't do it. And it made me realize that Killmonger, I forgot about that.
He burned all the herbs.
Everything.
He burned them all.
And then the mom comes in and lets her know that he has passed away.
Yep.
And it opens for the first time in Marvel history. Even when Stan Lee died, they didn't do this. It was all these images of T'Challa with no music. I have never heard a movie theater so silent in my life.
Yeah. Because this was like, this is like a family. It felt like a family member. It felt like we've been waiting now. I think this was probably 3 months ago. We were in some movie and the trailer or one of the posters were in the theater, and I was like, oh, Wakanda Forever is coming out in November. Okay, bet. And then they dropped it. What did you call it? It wasn't a teaser. It was a trailer. Which one is first? Teaser or trailer? Whichever.
Teaser is first. Trailer
Teaser's
is next.
first. Trailer second. So when the teaser came out, the anticipation was palpable. And so
Absolutely.
what I'm glad that they did was that they dealt with it at the very beginning. Yes. Anybody who has not seen this movie, do not be black and get there 3 minutes into the movie. You already got your 20 minutes padded up into the front.
It's called the heart-shaped herb.
Heart-shaped herb. There you go. You already have the 20 minutes padded in the front for promotion to get your popcorn and all that. Do not be late 12 seconds at the beginning of this movie, because it's the very beginning of this movie. As soon as the movie comes on, you're in it. The movie was long, but it didn't feel long.
Okay, so you're going forward in your feelings. So I gotta pull you back to the Smith.
Okay. So all right.
So they had the funeral, and the funeral is gorgeous. It is a beautiful tribute. It is it's what Black funerals tend to be. It is a celebration
beyond Black
of
funeral, because now we're talking about we're talking about the African funeral. So it kind of gave us some
right. It was a celebration of life, a real homegoing ceremony. Yep. So it was beautiful. Noticeably not there is Nakia, played by Lupita Nyong'o, which I noticed that. Did you notice that at the beginning? Like, well, where is she at? Like,
I did not notice that, and I'm glad you brought that up. But go ahead.
Okay, so we get through that part. Now we fast forward to 1 year later, and Queen Ramona.
Right. So
it's Queen Angela Bassett. Shout out to St. Pete. That's where she's from. Shout out to Boca Ciega High School. My mom.
Okay. Because you better know if they're from VA. I'm gonna let y'all know. So rep St. Pete. So it was Angela Bassett became the queen. And you go into this UN situation, and then here's what I like about the way they did this. They let us grieve, and then they got into the story, right? And so that was the part that he didn't, get shout out to Ryan Coogler. He didn't drag it out. He let us get over it, and he let us say, okay, now we've dealt with that part. Now let's get into the story.
It wasn't obnoxious, because it could have gotten obnoxious.
It could have, right? It could have, but it wasn't. So shout out to them. They did him a good service. So then you get into the storyline. The storyline, basically, you got this whole thing about global. Yes.
Can I say one more thing that I thought was interesting?
Yes.
T'Challa had a quote close relationship with the boy with the iron arm. I can't think of his name. The Winter Soldier. They ended up being good friends.
Yes.
There were no other Marvel characters at this man's funeral. I don't know if they thought it would take away from the story.
Interesting.
But
that's interesting. Was he even there?
Iron Man died.
Not Iron Man. You're talking about the Winter Soldier.
That's what I'm saying. None of them were there. He was close to the Winter Soldier. He wasn't there.
Right.
They be calling him Negro Bird. What's his name? With Falcon.
the new Captain America. Yeah.
They kept this very focused on Wakanda and the Black Panther. They did not have any of these other characters who were not only his friends in the movies, they were also his friends in this weird life in the real life. So I'm not sure. I thought that was weird to me.
Yeah, no, I absolutely missed that. I missed that they did not have any of those. That would have been interesting, at minimum, for them to have the Winter Soldier be there, because they were close.
He was living there, wasn't he?
He was living there. He was nursed back to life by the Wakandans. I don't think that the CIA agent was there either, which was interesting that he was not there. So,
and I think it might have been a lost moment for Marvel fans, to me, that these core people, these aren't just like random people he met. These were his friends. Anyway, let's keep it moving forward. So now she's the queen,
and we
get to meet a new character, Michaela Cole, who is now part of the Dora Milaje. She's a young member of the Dora Milaje. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Michaela Cole could have had a bigger role in this movie. She's an Emmy winner. She's an amazing actress. She's an amazing writer. And she kind of got the secondary role in the movie.
Maybe because I don't even really know who she is. So what shows has she starred in?
Hold on, I look at the name.
I kind of recognize her face, but she wasn't a big. And we're going to keep this conversation kind of general, because to your point, you're a big fan. I don't know who she was. I wasn't.
So she actually won. That's what it's called. I would say It May Kill You. She wrote the show and acted and starred in the show I May Destroy You. and
Never
it was
heard
an
of it.
amazing show. She won an Emmy for this show, like
Okay.
off the first season. Like that's how
Okay.
good it was. She
Okay.
wrote, remember Chewing Gum
No.
on Netflix?
No.
Okay, well, she starred and wrote in Chewing Gum. Like she's been in a lot of stuff that she's wrote and starred in herself. So she's formidable. She's a good actress. And I kind of thought she
Yeah,
was
go ahead.
good. She was just she could have got a bigger role, but
Yeah.
you see Dora Milaje doing it. You see Queen Ramanda kind of running things.
Right.
That French lady, I would have punched her in the face. So you gonna sit here and act like you didn't send these people here? Like you should share your resources before we have to disband you. How you gonna disband me, girl? I'm not sharing nothing with you all to disband me, ma'am. What are you talking about? Get out my face.
So let me go back to my two. I had to fix something real quick. So I thought so that scene, they're at the UN, and the Americans and the French are basically calling the Wakandans out for not sharing their resources, blah, 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 blah. While this is going on, the French are trying to run up on them at one of their outpost spots where they're doing research. And of course, they got hemmed up by the Dora Milaje because they thought that they was a bunch of suckers. And as we know, the Wakandans are not suckers. They're not suckers. And so one thing that was interesting about the way they did this, that, people will say, oh, it's not historically accurate. It still is a comic book series. It's still fantasy, right? The history that
this was historically accurate.
There was people, you start talking about the colonialism parts of it and the fact that the French colonizers, but they have not fronted on the colonizer piece ever. That's part of the dialogue, right? You start talking about Shuri calling her getting to see her favorite colonizer, all that good stuff. So the as Africans and as Black people, we're known to be, man, we give folks a lot of grace. We give folks a lot of grace. And so in that situation, instead of killing them, and it's always interesting in Marvel world, you never see blood. So you see all this fighting and people getting knocked out and people getting shocked and all this type of stuff. And so it's so the kids can come see it. And so they bring these guys back to the UN and basically drop them on the doorstep and say, you do it one more time, it's gonna be on.
It's gonna be a real problem. Now we're at war now if you do this again.
Right.
So then we get introduced to, again, moving along in the story, Shuri and her mother go along the shore to burn their funeral clothes.
Right.
Now, this to me, and my husband might even realize, but this ran through my head of Hindu funerals because Hindus bury their people. A year later, you have to come back and do a secondary ceremony to celebrate that 1 year loss of life. And you practically wear the same clothes from that first time you wore them. So instead of burning them, you wear them again. So to me, that just resonated with me that does have significance.
So that's interesting. That's something else. So I do remember after the first scene, we fast forwarded 1 year when they were down at the river, when they met Namor. Is that a year later? And does it
that was a year later?
So is it following a similar tradition?
1 year later.
Right. So is it following a similar tradition is what you're speaking of? Because, there's a lot more similarities than differences when you start talking about religions and spirituality all over the world. And so that's interesting. Another interesting point. And while we're talking about this, if you guys have some input, I see a few people dropping some comments. What's up, my man? Luis Negron, executive director for the 100 Black Men, and my man, newest brother with the 100. He's giving us a little backup there and letting us know the super soldier. And so anyway, so if you got some questions, comments, something you want to some feedback, drop it in the comments. And so we may pull some of them in while we're going through this here. So
one more thing I want to mention about that moment. So in that moment, Shuri is having a very hard time dealing with death. And a lot of people do. And I feel like her mom is trying to push her. And that moment, and we realize at the end of the movie, and we won't spoil it right now, but we got to the end of the movie when her mom was like, listen, she was trying to break her, like, listen, break down this wall. I need to tell you something that might break down the wall. And then here comes a new character, Namor.
So so that relationship between mom and daughter, elder and youth, we all go through that. I'm going through it right now with my daughter. You know what I mean? You tell them stuff that
Moms and daughters are different.
Yeah, but yes, they are. But it's just the elder and the child, especially when they are a young adult, that it's just like, I know. And that's really what you got. In addition to the I know, it's the grief part. You can tell, the whole relationship between Shuri and T'Challa, the relationship between Chadwick Boseman and Lord, I'm forgetting no girl's real name right now. Who plays Shuri? What's her real name?
Oh, I don't know. Anti-vaxxer. I have no idea what her real name is.
Oh, anti-vaxxer. He's such a. Anyway, I really believe, and I can believe what I want to believe, and my mama would tell you all the time. She's like, I believe that they were really close in real life.
Absolutely. They're like, because you don't have a sister. You have me, but like a real sister.
I do have a sister.
Are you guys tight?
No.
Okay. See, that's why it's like weird for you. So me and my big brother, we fight like cats and dogs. We have practically almost physically fought, but I would walk through glass for him.
Correct.
If he need me. We talk on a regular basis. Our mom, like we are a close-knit brother and sister. That is my road dog. And same thing with my cousin and her brother, Julius and Dominique, if they're watching, hi, they're super close like that. So if we lost one of our brothers, Letitia Wright is Shuri's name, it would be like that type of devastating of, I can't even think straight that I've lost the other part of me.
Right.
It's a weird thing like that.
Yeah. So, you kind of feel that in the energy of her playing that role. That's just me. I don't know if anyone else feels it, but I feel that they made this particular movie a lot about Sheri because Sheri was the one who really, her character and in real life, she really felt it. And so that's something this movie is really about. Come on, doing too much over here. This movie is really about the relationship between the brother and the sister and grief. That is what it's about. And so everything that we'll get into here shortly about the relationship with Namor and introducing the Hispanic community to the MCU and all that is a big part of it too. But this was really about us all as a family dealing with grief. Would you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely would agree with that because everybody deals with it differently. Queen Romanda, like a lot of moms want to tackle it and deal with it and make you a pie and a cake and it's going to make you feel better. And we just going to keep trucking along and remember him. And sometimes younger generations like, I just want to hold it all in. I'm just going to keep moving. And it's different things like that. Yeah.
And so, of course, they weren't just the average. They had to go. They weren't just the average mom and dad. They were queen and daughter of Wakanda. So then
and she lost two of the most important men in her life. And for women, and I don't know why they didn't express this as much as they could, but she lost her father and her older brother.
Correct.
That's
correct. That's a lot. It's a lot. We never really got into. Because the father died in Civil War, and I don't think Shuri was in Civil War, if I remember correctly.
She was in Civil War for a very quick second.
Yeah, she wasn't a major character in Civil War, so we never really saw much of the relationship between them two. But we saw a lot of the relationship between her and T'Challa. So in that moment where they were trying to deal with this grief, boom, here comes Namor, and so now we're really getting into the story because it's like, okay, all right, all this is all well and good, but now we got an enemy that's in our safe haven. And so what was your, everybody, here's the history that the comic book folks don't like. Namor in the comics, which was the first character in the Marvel. He was like the first comic book character from what I've read, right?
Close to it. Yes.
Well, I've read he was the first, but close to it, whatever, 1948 or 43, somewhere around in there. Mm-hmm. Of course, originally he was blonde hair, blue-eyed guy. He was from Atlantis, just like Aquaman. And so part of the story, they said the reason why they created this Talaquin is to introduce, get him away from Aquaman, because you got Aquaman, which is the big my man who's big brown hair, dark hair dude is in the LeBron James commercials now. So he's still out here. That character's still out here. In that Aquaman, he's Aquaman, right? On the DC side. So, and DC now owning Marvel, so eventually there's a possibility they may cross in some way, shape, or form. So they started Talaquin. So what that Talaquin thing does is introduces the Hispanic community and the Hispanic market to the MCU. Because when I first listened to the soundtrack, and I heard the soundtrack when it came out a week before the movie came out, and I saw half the soundtrack was in Spanish. I said, "Oh yeah, this is their opportunity to introduce the Hispanic community to MCU."
We're not just talking about the Hispanic community. We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about Mesoamericans,
Mm-hmm.
original Mexican Americans, the Mayans, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
because they do. The reason that they're called the Talocans is because there was
Mm-hmm.
actually a god called, I'm going to say it wrong, Talicon.
Mm-hmm.
Talicon is something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
that person was the god of people who died at sea or
Mm-hmm.
died by lightning. That
Okay.
god would come and take you to the sea to live because you died in the sea or you died by lightning. So
Got
it
it.
actually has really close ties to the Mayan culture.
Yep.
I think how they did this with making it Talocan and Namor and all that, it made actual sense. Like Atlantis thing is
Mm-hmm.
cute, blonde hair, blue eyes, is great. You
Right.
live in the ocean.
There's no
Oh yeah,
history
you're still
connected to it.
watching it. Like
Right.
it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were actually living in water and they were blue, that made more sense to me. Like you live in the water. Like how are
Right.
y'all not blue after all these centuries?
Right.
But here's the thing with Namor. Namor has an actual pain. He was born, their whole people did the whole thing of like Black Panther. They drank from their herb, which was
Yep.
also from
Same herb.
vibranium
Yep. Yep.
to the water. They
Yep.
wanted to survive. They all woke
Yep.
up, went to the water, and survived. He
Yep.
was born underwater because of his mother. And then
Mm-hmm.
when she died, he went to go bury her and saw that his people were being enslaved
Mm-hmm.
and had a full-on like, oh, this is what it is, and then burnt down everything. And that's when he lost love for the surface world and went deeper and deeper and deeper. So between the slavery aspect of Black people and the slavery aspect of the Mesoamericans, it is parallel.
Right.
And it's parallel in real life too.
Correct. And that's the great thing about it. The people who I've heard who don't like this movie, anyway, the 9 times out of 10, the folks who don't.
What have they been saying?
What are you? Of course. Well, I'm gonna give a pass to the ones who the comic book snobs. The comic book snobs are always talking about it's not staying true to the story. Most of us ain't reading the comics. We're not gonna read the comics. This is our version of the comic. So go read your comics and whatever. Go read the real story. Whatever. But then there's racism.
Yeah.
And there's misogyny. Because this movie is really 90, I won't say 90%, because you got you got Namor and you've got M'Baku. But for the most part, the heroes, the warriors are all the women. And primarily, directly, you got Shuri. You got the what is her name? The young girl who's the robot who's
Reread Williams is the
Riri
actress's
Williams.
name. I don't know what her name. I forgot what her name is in the movie.
Yeah, so
she's the
you got
scientist in the movie.
Right. So she's a scientist, kind of like a young Iron Man. And then of course, we've got Angela Bassett and the character she played as being the matriarchal character. You know what? A lot of men doing a lot of big things in this movie. And one thing I found interesting, Ironheart. One of the things I found interesting was that the whole tribe that was connected to the general's husband is gone. You notice that whole tribe is not there. They're the ones who had
the border tribe.
They were the ones who had the right. They had the big whatever they rode, the big rhinos that they rode and all of that. Yeah. So the guy who played in the last anyway. That whole tribe is gone. So the men.
He is still alive. He is still alive, and
Correct.
he couldn't be. That actor could not. Daniel Kaluuya could not be in this movie because he was filming Nope at the same time, and he also felt a way about being in the movie and not having Chadwick there. He has made that very clear that it just felt weird for him to do it and him not being here. But because he's still alive, it has left the door open for him to be in another movie because they clearly said you can go steal your husband. Right. He is wherever. But you're right, the border tribe is not even there. It's the river tribe and the garden tribe and the other 5 tribes happen to be there. The guy with the disc in his mouth.
Right.
Yes.
But no, it's interesting. Because and that's when you got to see these movies a couple times, get a little bit deeper into the characters. Because yes, there are 4 or 5 tribes that are there. Yes. Right. And so that would be, so which tribe do you say is not there?
The border tribe.
The border tribe. There. That's right, because they used to protect the border. I remember now. Yes, right.
The merchant tribe is there because the border tribe was there. His father with the border tribe father with the dots on his face, he was there. So the border tribe representative was there, but I didn't see any border tribe.
But there were no border tribe. They were not fighting. They were not involved in anything. There was
no. Father was represented at the council. His father was the guy with his I can't.
So you just showed me something. You just taught me something else. I never knew that was his father.
Yes, if
I
you
missed
go back to
that.
the original Black Panther, because I pay attention to everything,
Right.
that is the man who stood next to Daniel Kaluuya's
With all
character.
the
That was his dad. He was
Okay.
the head of the
Of
border
of the
tribe.
border
They're
tribe.
still
Interesting.
they still have status. But let's go forward a little bit more because I want to start picking apart some things that I started to be like, oh, y'all Negroes are tripping. So Riri
Okay.
Williams introduced as the scientist, where
Yep.
Namor is going after saying, listen, hey, she created this device that has discovered how to find vibranium, and they started in the ocean, and that's where we live, and we have a
Yeah.
massive problem with that. So we're gonna find her and kill her. And if we don't and y'all do, you need to let us know. And they end up finding her, and she ended up being a college student, a
Yep.
Black college student. And my whole thing was, oh, we gonna make everybody Black. So we got Negro Bird as Captain America, and now we have Ironheart Black Girl who's gonna be the new Iron Man, and then we got Shuri who's gonna be Black Panther. Listen, we can't make everything Black. Am I wrong or right? We can't make everything Black.
Well, let me ask you this, and maybe our resident comic book guy is Ironheart Black in the comics? We need to find that out, right?
Let us know in the comments, resident comic
If
book guy.
anybody
I think
knows, or
he is, though.
anybody
I
else, is
think he
Ironheart
is in the
Black.
comic book.
So here's the thing: we got plenty of white superheroes, and we got a little bit of everything now. And as we talk about, what we did not have was an Hispanic hero or villain in the MCU, because we've already introduced who?
America.
Isn't America? Isn't she Indian? See, I don't watch America. You introduce America for people now, because I know she's a young girl. She's a teenager, right?
The teenager in Doctor Strange. Not, I know who you're thinking of. You're thinking of Miss Marvel. I'm talking about America, who was in the recent Doctor Strange movie, who could jump through different portals to get through different universes. Her name is America. She is the first
Hispanic or Latina.
Hispanic, Latina, Latinx character to be a superhero, because she was a superhero in that film, and she actually did save the day for everybody. So she is the very first one. The Indian girl, she's Indian or something else, but she's Miss Marvel. So they're two different girls.
Okay,
I'm talking
that's
about.
what I'm thinking about, Miss Marvel. I'm thinking about Miss Marvel. So,
but as far as it being in a prominent, huge, like, superstar, yes. The guy's name, his last name is Huerta.
Yeah. The guy's playing name.
He actually is Mesoamerican. He has Mesoamerican ancestry to be.
And so it was, and they did a great job of developing this character. So before we get to that, you have you gotten past that part issue that you talking about Riri and all that, and too many Black people in the movie?
I mean, yes, a little bit, and I just thought it was and then again, I know I'm gonna get people to jump down my throat. We don't have to make every Black character y'all introduce to be some hip hop girl who happens to be brilliant. She could just be some geek that nobody liked, and just have her be regular.
But yeah, she got to be interesting. I don't think she was too. She wasn't like hip hop, like ghetto hip hop. She was smart. She just had.
It was borderline for me.
She had an edge. She had an edge. She had an edge to her. You know, when she walked up to the boy and snatched the phone out of his hand and make sure you pay me for this homework I done for you. You know, that was interesting. I thought her character was interesting. I liked the fact that she basically,
the Iron Man suit out the gate was too much.
The what?
The Iron Man suit out the gate. That was kind of like, are y'all serious? Like, out the gate, 10 minutes in introducing her, y'all couldn't even build up to that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think that was you got to have that chasing.
With anything in this movie.
I do have a problem with things, and we're going to get to that. But I don't have a lot of problems with this movie. But I think that introduced her character. It was a rickety version of the suit that, you know, as she said, they got whole YouTube channels.
It wasn't a rickety version of the suit. It was the same suit Iron Man built in the first Iron Man when he was in the cave. It's parallel
too.
They even reshot the scene of Tony with the hammer, him and the wife beater sweating, banging the hammer. They reshot that scene with her in a knotted up wife beater, banging the same hammer.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that. You have an issue with that. I'm gonna let you have that.
I'm sorry, the originality for me was just weird. The same thing with I love cars. Tony, whatever his name is, Tony Sparks, love cars, had a whole garage full of cars. Now I really want to rebuild this classic car for my dad. There's no original. It's just they made it with a Black
girl. Okay, I can deal with that. You have an issue with that, even though Disney is known for that. Disney is known for you can put 5 films up against each other and see the exact same scene with different dogs and birds and stuff who play the same role in
Oh yeah,
in
because
every
none of
movie.
the Disney princesses have moms. Have you noticed
Okay,
that? None of them have
I've
mothers.
never
They all have
noticed.
dads who think about it. Every single one has a dad or a king whose wife died, and now he's just
Uh,
raising a daughter who she wants to marry a prince.
okay, well I'm gonna have to go back for people. Can y'all get in the
Snow
comments
White,
on
Cinderella,
I'm a,
Pocahontas,
I grew up on Transformers and
Jasmine.
GI Joe. I didn't watch the Disney movies like that. Didn't really matter to me. But all great, all very valid points. So
So let's
where was I get ready to go with this?
I'll, okay, so we'll just fast forward a little bit more. So Riri Williams gets kidnapped, taken to the underwater ocean world of Tolokanen, whatever,
Yeah,
fine.
right.
That was beautifully shot. When Shuri
Absolutely.
got down there and he was like, I'll show you.
Yeah,
And they went down there and showed the underwater world. You know,
yeah,
sometimes Marvel messes up with doing too much CGI. I
yeah,
didn't notice that. It's almost like they had these people just like, no, y'all got to hold y'all breath and we about to shoot this. It's going to take a couple hours and y'all just got
yeah,
to be down
yeah. No, it was beautifully shot, and I heard that Ryan Coogler actually learned how to swim
here.
doing this
Oh,
movie. He didn't know how to
good.
swim. And he said, if
Oh,
my actors are going to have to be underwater, I'm going to have to be underwater to help to direct this thing. Now, how do you
yeah.
direct underneath the water? You can't talk with, I don't know. But to your point, it was believable what they did when they
Thank
went
you.
down
Yeah.
there underwater, seeing the scenes of the little girl with her little, doing the little heart thing and all that stuff. It made that whole community very not human, because it was not human, but it humanized the community.
It made them real and
It
not
made
like
them
some
real.
CGI mess because sometimes Marvel messes up. They put too much
Hmm.
CGI and just like, I don't really feel it. But
Yeah.
it's almost like you can see the guys who were playing the Mayan version of soccer with the hoop on the side.
Yep.
They were really playing underwater.
Yep.
The women who were swimming by with the baskets and the
Yep.
kids who were walking up waving at Shuri, those look like kids holding their breath
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
elegantly as they could to get the
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
And then if you went on Instagram, they started posting videos. It really was real people. They really were like, we're gonna have
Right.
you guys come up and come down and come
Yep.
up and come down so that we can shoot this and then piece it
Yeah.
all together
Yeah.
as needed,
Yeah. No, it was
which was
amazingly
beautiful.
shot. I really loved that part of it, that they, and you, at that point, I never disliked Namor. I've always
No,
felt that he had a reason why he was doing it, why he did what he did. And so when you look at the way they built the story out, it was obvious in the end that there was going to be some sort of coming together. Now, those other two characters, the big guy and the cousin, who had, her name is Namora and his name is
Namora.
Namor. So there's Namora, and I forget the big guy's name. When I started to do a little bit of reading up
I'm
on
gonna find
that,
it.
the big guy actually has challenged Namor in the comics for supremacy in the underworld. I thought those,
And maybe they'll build up to that in number two because I think a
yeah,
lot of people were disappointed that he didn't fight Shuri and kill her and get back in the water and realize we're supreme. Wakanda is nothing. So maybe
hmm,
he started getting challengers the same way that M'Baku to the challenge, T'Challa when they're like, you
right,
killed your father died, you didn't do nothing. Like it's
right,
time for
right,
a
right.
real leader.
Right. I want to see them develop out those two characters, because they both showed the big guy more than Namora, and somebody help me with the big guy's name. Is Atala or
I'm
something
gonna
like that.
find out what his
It's
name
something like name
is.
Atala or something like that. But he really loved fighting the general. He like he loved the combat, in that part.
Atuma.
So, huh?
I think his name is Atuma.
A Tuma or a Tala, something like that. But you're probably right. A Tuma or a Tala,
I think
whichever
it's
it is.
Atuma.
So I love that part of it. So one thing we've skipped over is talking about the Americans playing this, and Julia Louis Dreyfus in her role.
Freaking hate her. I hate her in this role. I can't express it enough. Omar has already been
Yeah,
like, no, it's only been, I was like, it's been 3 different platforms she's been on. She's been in one movie, one TV show, and now this. I hate it. It just looks so fake and ridiculous and just, I hate her in this role.
why?
Do you hate her?
No, well, her role. I hate her
It's just not
role.
believable. It's not
Well,
believable.
well, is she believable? It's
Where
Marvel.
was Helen Mirren? Was Helen Mirren busy? There's a lot of older white women that could have played this role. Who else? Let me think.
Okay, Helen Mirren is in something that's getting ready to come out.
Old white women who could
Okay,
play this role.
Julia Louise Dreyfus is a popular figure. Which one was it? Seinfeld. She was on for years.
Yes.
Okay, so she was on Seinfeld. I never watched Seinfeld, so but I know she's a huge star.
Julianne Moore. Julianne Moore would have been great in this role.
I don't know who
You don't know who that is. That's okay. That's fine.
I'll look her up. So
Christina Hendricks.
I'm interested to see where that character is going, because obviously she's going to be the redhead Julianne Moore. Okay. So unremarkable. So Julia Louis Dreyfus, I think her popularity is she probably lobbied for the role. But her let's get away from the actor. Let's get away to the position she's playing. She's going to represent when the surface world Americans come after Wakanda. We know that's coming.
Yes, because she represents Hydra. She is actually a secret operative of Hydra. That's right.
She is part of Hydra, and we found that out in which one was it? Was it The Winter Soldier? It was one of the TV series that she showed.
It was the end. It was the very end of Black Widow, the movie.
Black Widow. That's when she was in Black Widow. Yep. And I don't know if I knew that she and the colonizer were married. Were married before. I don't know if I knew that.
I didn't either. That was a shock to me in the theater. I was like, "Ooh, has this been mentioned before?" And nobody.
Yeah. And people just tuned it in. I should have put a graphic up here, but we're spoiling everything from Black Panther. We're talking about Wakanda Forever. If you haven't seen it by now, you should have seen it. Enjoy the dialogue, and if you want to jump in, come holler at us. So anyway. So that part of the story, interesting. They didn't really delve into that much and what's getting ready to come. What we know about the MCU for the last 12, 13 years is that it never ends. It's always a story leading up to another story, leading up to another story. Antman is coming out in February, and they're going to introduce Jonathan Majors and his role in that movie.
Just a sidetrack.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Creed 3 trailer in front of the Wakanda movie. They had it for you, right?
And as well as the other movie with Jonathan Majors playing the jet, the pilot.
How much work did Jonathan Majors have to do to look that believable as a boxer? He made Michael B. Jordan look like a baby, like a little baby.
They look like that. It's got me. I'm like, this is gonna be a good movie. I think Jonathan Major, when he was in the movie, in this series with Smollett, with the daughter,
Lovecraft Country.
Love. I thought he did a great job in it, and kudos to him. He's now a superstar. He's been a B-list almost star for a while, and now they've decided in the next 6 months he's got 3 major movies that he's getting ready to be in. That's going to really shoot him. And he's a super villain in the next 3 super movies. By understanding, he's going to be the super villain in the next 3 movies.
3 movies, 4 TV series. I think he comes up in some kind of way, has to appear, but it's good money. Anyway, where were we? So Everette Ross is also the other white person in this film.
Yeah.
I think because of who he is and what he meant to T'Challa, we all are kind of like, but no, he's a good white person. We love him. Y'all can't arrest him. No, he does good. He got a little kimono beach. I'm on the phone.
Right. I'm
on the phone right now. It's okay. But his ex-wife definitely found him out pretty quickly, which I thought that would happen, because with Wakanda, they've made it very clear. Either you're all in or you're all out. You can't be oh no, I'm just out here supporting y'all. High five. It doesn't work like that.
Well, that's supremacist. We got to always remember that people want to take over the world and own everything. And even a line in the movie that Julia Louis-Dreyfus said about, so Omar let us know that this movie is a prelude to introduce Avengers Kang Dynasty. Major spoiler alert. We spoiling everything tonight. It don't matter. So it's all in the internet streets. So it was, when she said, when he asked, when what's his name, the white guy, what's his name? You just said Everette Ross. What Everette Ross said to him, do you imagine what it would be like if America owned all of the I'm just, my brain dead today. The flower that did.
If he were all the vibranium,
all
and
the
she got all
vibranium,
happy,
right?
Like, no, that's not a good thing. He made a face like, what?
Right. She was like, I dream of that every day, right? So, but that's supremacist. That is the part that went unsaid, right? But it was said. We live in this world, and those are the reality parts of this movie. You talk about African culture. You're now talking about mesoculture. You talk about colonialism. You talk about the Europeans are always trying to take everything over, which is a big part of the story. And ultimately, the way that they're going to.
This is really quick. I thought it was really sad when Namor was a little boy, how he got his name, and when he just wanted to bury his mom, and he
Yeah.
comes into this scene that is honestly horrific.
Right.
And
Right.
you just want to bury your mom,
But
and then
people.
someone a demon.
Right. So you're talking about people who were killing and burying and who were being destructive. Is that generation of Europeans were wicked. Period.
They were.
Point blank. They were caught. They were trying to take everything over. They were killing people. They were stealing land, and so that's what he walked
artwork.
up on.
Stealing artwork.
And everything. Right. That's they stole everything. Everything.
Every country. In the British Museum, there are millions of dollars that are value to them, but huge pieces of history from every culture around the world that has appealed to them. Can we have this back? Because this is from our so-and-so dynasty. And they're just like, no, you can't have it back. It belongs to the British Museum. What? Like,
no, y'all stole it. Right. Y'all just
you stole it.
You're taking people's culture, but that's a whole nother conversation. All right. So where are we at now? So we've now been introduced.
Stuff that we hate.
All right, go ahead. This
is the right part in the movie where I start seeing stuff that I hate. Once we get to we see Namor's island is beautiful and yay. Now I start hating everything. Now it's like, okay, now y'all tripping.
Okay, so what? So let's talk about now the stuff that Kia hates from the movie. What did you hate from the movie?
Why was he so nice to Shuri? What was the point of that? Like it got confusing. Like, are you nice to her? Are you guys on the same team? When Shuri got brought underwater with the scientist. He was like, here are these princess clothes. Come with me. I was like, oh, are they about to fall in love? Are we in a Disney movie? Oh, nice. Way to stick your hand in there, Disney. And they start having a good conversation. He gives her his mother's bracelet, an artifact from his childhood he can't get back. Does that make any sense?
Sure, it makes sense. He was reaching across the aisle. He was trying to befriend her because ultimately...
My mama bracelet. My mama bracelet.
So it was really about he knew he needed them as an ally. Let's just keep it real. They live underwater. So and outside of him, the rest of them can't really live on the land and fight the enemies.
They got that little water mask thing.
Right. So ultimately he needs an ally in order to defeat anybody that's coming to attack his people. So that's the reason why he was nice to Shuri. Ultimately, the goal was for them to say, all right, and bow down to me or I'm going to kill you. He wasn't trying to kill them. He was like,
it's us. He's trying to make it's us against them.
It's us against them.
Against them.
And then of course the Wakandas was like, first of all, I don't even know you. Who you done came up
like
here out
like
yo, like who are you? Hold up, bro. You done rolled up on my beach. I'm having this conversation with my mama. We chilling. I'm about to put some hot dogs on the grill, and you coming on this joint with little chicken wing feathers on your feet, and all of a sudden you like, now bow down to me.
Your tiny shorts, those are inappropriate shorts, sir. You get off my beat.
Yeah. So they go through that process. She basically, another reason that he should have been nice to her because she basically sacrificed herself. Take me down to your world.
She did.
She volunteered that, right? Now, she may not have had a choice because she wasn't tough yet. She ain't drinking none of the juice and everything, so she still was a little frail scientist at the time. So she better have had a choice.
We'll get to that part next.
So, but she definitely sacrificed because it was curiosity too. She's a scientist. Let's not forget she's a scientist, right? So she's like, this is interesting. I want to go see how they're living down there. I want to go see who these people are that are basically equal to who we are on land.
Okay. So that's that.
So you don't hate that part anymore. Go ahead. Let's keep going.
Lupita Nyong'o's whole thing of I live in Haiti with my cute pink dress and my big butt and everything's fine and I teach little children and I don't need to go back to Wakanda. That did not make sense. So I teach little children, I run a boarding house, but you come and tell me I need to go back to being a super spy. So now I'm going to go back. Like it didn't make sense.
It makes sense. That makes sense too because she always think about Lupita's character. She always hides in plain sight. That was her skill. Her skill was always she could get places nobody else could get. Now, mind you,
this is true.
You know, and it's always weird to me that anybody can truly be a spy. Like after a while, they see you, right? But I guess you still good enough. There's enough people haven't seen you. You can just so anyway.
Oh wait, they put her on some cute pink glasses and sent her to Mexico, and they're like,
Mexico.
Oh, a dark-skinned black woman here. That's not weird at all.
That's not weird at all. And she was like, she basically told her in Spanish, "Get out of here, get out of here, stranger. We don't like you. Bounce, bounce."
Okay.
And then she just hits it one time with, "I've seen him too." She hits it with one, "I've seen him too." And then all of a sudden,
if anybody's wondering why her Spanish was so good, apparently Lupita Nyong'o was born
in Mexico.
Yeah. Then moved to Nigeria. So that Spanish you're hearing is authentic. That's real.
But she's like, isn't Lupita like Harvard trained or something? She went to an Ivy League school, I believe.
She went to an Ivy League school. She did go to an Ivy League school.
Yeah, so she, she's.
I didn't like her whole thing, and we'll get to towards the end why another reason I didn't like it is stupid Maury Povich version of Wakanda. I did not like that.
Whatever.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I did not like the fact that I'm trying to figure out how did Namor attacks Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to go into all of that because a huge fight scene, whatever. And Queen Romanda dies. That was a completely unnecessary death to me.
Yeah, that felt to me that Angela Bassett, I'm done after this movie. So go ahead and kill my character off.
Because the death of Chadwick was hard on her as well.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard on her as well. And
yeah, because she's not going to put on the suit. She's not, and I don't know, once again, I'm not the comic book guy. I don't know if Romanda ever had any role in the comics at all. Right. So killing her off was to me, I was not expecting that. That wasn't where I audibly in the movie was like, oh, I didn't expect that. Right.
I didn't.
And so, but let's just talk about Angela Bassett. And if she don't win or get nominated for Oscar for this role, because she played well, whatever. She played this role.
And not because of her acting. Before everybody thinks, oh, Kia's out. No, not because of her acting. It's because the Academy Awards have made it very clear to the Marvel Universe, we don't mess with y'all. We're not about to nominate y'all for nothing. Y'all can come perform these songs here. But we are not allowing an action movie from a DC or a Marvel to win any kind of award of legitimacy here. It's not going to happen.
Interesting. So they never get done. But let's just think about who, because I've watched pretty much all of them now. Nobody deserves any sort of best supporting actress.
From the first Black Panther movie? From Infinity Wars? You don't think when Tony, honestly, Tony Stark, I can't think of his name. Honey, can you help me?
Morgan Downey Jr. Is it Morgan Downey? Is it Morgan Downey Jr. or is it?
Might be Robert?
Robert Downey Jr.
His Infinity Wars performance was extremely good. It was very, very good. And when he died, that was the way he played that role. It was
maybe
very,
because
very
I grew up with Robert Downey Jr. in the old terrible movies from the 80s that I'm just like, I never considered him a good actor. He's always just being himself. But
there's been a lot of performances in those movies that had deserved a nomination. Like I said, when Black Panther came out, some of those performances, Forrest Whitaker, you ain't think Forrest Whitaker deserved no nomination for how he played that role?
He wasn't in there long enough. He wasn't big enough. No.
He still was very good in his role.
He was Forrest. So, but I don't think any of them touched Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett made you feel that pain. Now, some people claim that Angela Bassett overacts. Y'all full of crap. Angela Bassett. Yeah, people tell me, oh, they should go overacting again. I'm like, do you realize in this character, she's just lost her husband, her son, and now she thinks she's lost her daughter while she's supposed to run the most powerful nation in the world. And y'all talking about she overacting when she said, I just lost everything? No. No.
Yeah, that sounds believable to me. I didn't like how she fired the general. I get it, but I was kind of like, that seems very, very weird. But Angela Bassett, I think because all the roles she's been in, it's always so dramatic. I mean, we all know her from Waiting to Exhale. You know, your husband left you for a white woman secretary. How you supposed to act? Like,
But
how are you
but
supposed
oh
to?
my God, when I think about some of the roles that she's played in, playing
Tina
Tina
Turner.
Turner, playing
She
oh
still
my
has
God, and
that.
she's always got the gun. She's in her 60s right now, and she still looks amazing. You think about her playing Betty Shabazz.
No, forget about that.
She has played so many people, iconic women, strong women in Black culture over the last 30 years.
Yes.
But this one, okay, all right, white folks, y'all didn't really watch those movies. Okay, I get it. Y'all watched this one, and y'all saw one of our queens give one of her most amazing performances. She's in her 60s. Give her doggone flowers. If it's got to be what you call it, what do they call it when you get one just because you done so much in so many different movies?
Honorary.
Honorary. You giving her that because. And I'd be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm watching a lot more series now than movies. So there may be some movie about something over here that may be an amazing actor that I haven't seen. For me,
But I
for
also
me and
felt
mine,
that
Angela Bassett should be up there for this.
Danny Gurria, who
Mm-hmm.
plays General Okoye,
Okoye.
playing
Mm-hmm.
across from her in that moment, they're acting in those emotions of mother. Please
Yes.
do not.
Yeah.
I I
Yeah.
live for this. I'm
Right.
Wakanda forever. Like,
Right.
please don't. You could feel the pain in both.
You can
Both
feel the
that acting.
pain. You can
Yeah,
feel the pain in that scene. You can feel the pain of Shuri when she watched her mother drown. That scene, M'Baku being, he from a supporting actor's role and not just a supporting actor, but a supporting character. Let's just not forget that M'Baku and T'Challa had a love-hate relationship, right?
absolutely.
And even the scene once Angela Bassett's Romanda when she passed and he was there at the funeral ceremony and he was talking to Sheri like that was his little sister and I've been asked by your brother to look out for you. I got you, and she wasn't trying to hear it. She was just like, "Man, why are you here? Because your brother asked me to be here." So
Okay, so let's fast forward to more stuff that we hated.
hold on a second, but before we go, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with M'Baku's character. I want
It
to see
has
if
to evolve.
they have to evolve his character. He
They
has to
have
get
to.
out of just
Sidekick.
being, huh?
He has to get a sidekick.
He
It
got to
feels
get
like
out of
he's
sidekick mode.
a sidekick.
Whether it be a television series, maybe they dig a little bit deeper into something. But the whole thing about him challenging, we'll get into that about him challenging. And I'm just like that's one thing when you talk about. I won't say I didn't hate it, but they just dangled that out there and just bounced when he
That was
challenged and
stupid.
said that I'm going to.
I hated that. That was really dumb. I didn't
That,
like
yeah,
that.
that I didn't like that. I didn't like that because if at first I was like, you what? You
Honey,
gonna
I'm gonna bring it
challenge?
up. Give me a
Huh?
second, honey. I will bring up the Hunaman thing. He's glory to Hunaman. For those, do you
Okay.
know who Hunaman is? Do you know who it
No.
is?
No.
Hunaman is a Hindu god,
Okay.
a monkey god in the
Okay.
Hindu culture.
Okay.
So in India, it was actually banned. They couldn't say that. It's taken out because they didn't want one god to feel better than the other. But that's who Hunaman is. Hunaman is actually Omar, my husband's god that represented him when he was born.
Okay.
So that's
Oh,
glory
okay.
to.
I got you. I got you. And of
It's a Hindu
course,
thing.
oh yeah. And in Baku, that's they are
The monkey gorillas,
they're the monkey
the great
gorilla.
gorilla.
Yeah, that's always been one of those things. You always, as black folks, we're always careful and always like, oof, we don't like to be
It's
called
not Jesus.
monkeys. It's not
It's
just
not Jesus.
right. We don't like to be called monkeys though. It's like, but anyway, but it represents
Can we
strength, all
get
that.
the
But
stuff we hate now?
so, what else do you hate in the movie? What? There's not much left to hate. What else do you hate?
Yeah, Shuri is Black Panther. I hate it. I hate it. I get it. I hate it. And not that she become Black Panther, but that
Mhm.
Shuri is the most non-believable Black Panther ever. Let's think about the females they've had entered
There's only
into the
been
Marvel
two. It's
universe.
only been two. It's
To
only been
what?
two Black Panthers. You're talking about the most unbelievable
Yes.
Black Panther ever. But go ahead.
But even the comic book, she was buff. Shuri looks like a ballerina. So you want us to
Yeah.
believe that this tiny ballerina girl has now
Yeah.
become, just because she drank some purple Kool-Aid, now all of a sudden she's this super fighter. But that's
Yeah.
not how T'Challa was. T'Challa was big beforehand, and the purple Kool-Aid just gave him extra power and endurance.
T'Challa's
Shuri
in,
is a
Chadwick Boseman was in shape.
was in shape.
He was in shape. Here's the thing. They chose what's the girl's name? Letitia Wright. They
Letitia
chose
Wright.
Letitia Wright to play this role. She's amazing as Shuri. I love her
She
timing, her
is.
comedic timing. Everything about her character is
It's
great.
great.
The fact that she can go from being hysterically funny to being so pensive in this role of this and all this energy of all this stress and all of this and everything she's dealing with. But I'm with you, her little skinny behind.
But what I'm shocked by is why
but you,
didn't
yeah.
they? Because every other female in the Marvel universe, and I know this for a fact,
Uh-huh.
they have all made them girls gain weight, and they have told them straight up, you have to go through this fighting training, you have to do
Mhm.
this, you got to put on 20 pounds of muscle, 30 pounds of muscles.
Mhm.
Scarlett Johansson had to keep it on, even if it made it uncomfortable. She had to keep it on.
Mhm.
Even outside the Marvel universe, the Women King movie, they told them girls, oh no, every one of
Mhm.
y'all, skinny or not, you better be
Mhm.
in this gym, you're gonna
Mhm.
gain weight because it has
Mhm.
to be believable.
Yeah.
Shuri as Black Panther, especially in that suit, when they showed a profile of her,
Yeah.
it was like, no, no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. And
no.
here's the thing, and I actually agree with you on this, right? I think they did a good job. She wasn't in the Black Panther suit a lot.
Thank
If you
God.
if you think about it, she didn't spend but maybe 40 minutes of the movie where she was, if that, and she wasn't in the
Maybe
suit the whole
15 scenes.
right. It wasn't a lot of scenes. So that's
No.
something they're gonna have to figure out what they're going to do to maintain that because that is an issue for me. I agree. I agree. Me believing her because here's my thought. When M'Baku came out and said he wanted to challenge for the throne, and so I was like, who is he gonna fight? He gonna fight. Oh, and then you have to remember when they fight, she has to take the herb
Yes, to take out.
to lose her power. Ain't no way in the
Yep.
world she fighting M'Baku without that power.
And we've never seen her train. We've never seen her like I can see if she's been like with her
Hmm.
brother playing around, like I'll
Hmm.
come to this. Like if they would have shown that scene in the first movie of them sparring and she was just as good or
Yeah,
training with the Dora Milaje and she just
yeah,
decided I don't want to be a Dora, but she had that
yeah,
training,
yeah,
maybe we could believe it. But we never saw any of that. It's just she's always been in the lab. She's always
yeah,
been the geeky girl. She's been the little
yeah,
kid sister. She's like
yeah,
me. Like
uh-huh.
it wouldn't be believable,
Yeah, and
so I hope
if
they show an arc.
well, and here's the thing, because when the story kept coming down of who was going to be the Black Panther, nobody else could have been it but her. The only other option, which we can talk about now, let's talk about it now, was bring
Yeah.
Killmonger back,
Which is what
right?
I thought they were going to do. But he's too by them bringing him back in her going to see the ancestors, he too angry. It's too much. He would have been too rageful. They would have to tame him in even after getting stabbed. It wouldn't seeing him in the angry place made me
Yeah,
realize that they would have brought him back. It would not have been believable because he was so angry and so rageful, and he lost his father because his father was killed by his uncle. This whole nation left him, and now he's going to be their Black Panther. How is that?
that wouldn't have been my problem. My problem would have been bringing him back on this timeline. But I believe it, they're either going to do it, with this multiverse thing going on. They're going to bring
Yeah,
him back. They're going to bring
probably in
him
another
back.
multiverse, in another universe, he probably
And
is the Black Panther, and he's
right,
never forgotten. And his
right,
brother and uncle, his uncle and dad, probably were best friends, and everything
something's.
is well in Wakanda.
They're going to do something now. Once again, I'm not a comic book guy, so I don't know if Killmonger was ever a good guy in the comics.
No,
So do they keep him kind of this anti-hero type of thing, which will probably be better for them to do that, but they've got to bring him back. But I tell you, I audibly, oh, when it came around that chair and it was Killmonger,
it's called a
I,
gay gasp. You gay gasp? It's called a gay
I
gasp.
don't do that to me.
It's
No,
called a
I
gay
definitely
gasp.
didn't do that. I definitely didn't do that. But I was really like,
I was surprised to see him too, but the
Do you
choice
like
made
Michael B?
sense.
Do you like Michael B. Jordan as an actor? Because a lot of people try to act like that he's not as
My
good as
nigga,
I
we
think
are.
he
Oh,
is.
I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't know what you just said. So,
I said the N word because we have talked about this so many times. I
uh-huh.
think he's a horrible actor, like Gabrielle Union's a horrible actor. They're the same level on me. Please don't ask me this again. We have talked about this so many
Why do
times.
you think he is so bad?
It's the same person. It's the same person every single role.
Okay,
One got a lisp, one doesn't have a lisp. One's got a better diction, one doesn't, but it's the same person. It's the
Sylvester
same. Like,
Stallone has turned
please don't
into a
ask me this
50-year
again. I
career.
cannot take it.
Sylvester Stallone turned into a 50-year career, and he's done about 2 or 3 movies. Be like, man, he was really good. I think Michael B. Jordan is a good action hero actor. Have you seen
And
the movie?
I think that cranberry sauce is delicious. If we're just gonna make lies up, yes, cranberry sauce is delicious. And stuffing with raisins and carrots is how
Whatever.
Thanksgiving should
Michael B.
always
Jordan.
be.
I'm riding with my mans. I'm riding with Michael B. Jordan. I still have to see that movie that came out earlier this year or late last year about the soldier. He played the soldier who passed away.
I think it's I Love Taylor or From Love Taylor
something
or
like that.
something
I still need to see that movie. But I was good. I was to see Killmonger show up in the storyline in some way, shape, or form. I'd love that they did that from a storyline standpoint. I
and
love
it
what
made sense.
It made sense. It made sense because she had to, that's almost like the good angel and the bad angel sitting on your shoulder, right? So no, the good angel, your mom didn't show up initially. It was the bad angel, the vengeful side of what you want to get because you're angry. You done lost your mom. You done lost your
And it
brother.
made the same sense. Think about when he went back, when Killmonger went back and to see the ancestors, and it wasn't a happy place. It was where his dad died. And his dad didn't have some happy message for him. He was like, you are a lost child and I have failed you.
Yeah.
That wasn't a happy memory.
Yeah, and that's a part that's once again cutting to the culture of African Americans is that there's a lot of anger that lives in a lot of us because of a lot of different things, and so I was glad they brought that back. All right, let me see anything else that are you done with everything that you hated?
No, last thing because we're 9:05, we're going a little longer. I hated the whole we had a baby and we live in Haiti and you better don't.
I better yes. Go ahead, finish
you
your.
like that?
Here's what I like. Yes, I did, and here's why. It was a heartwarming moment. But here's the other part I liked about it. All of y'all out there who've been, I almost said it. All of y'all out there complaining about recast T'Challa, you're gonna have your T'Challa. It's his son. That is the recast T'Challa. They're going to fast forward on the timeline. And then the whole story of bringing in where T'Challa marries Storm from X-Men, they can bring that story into the storyline. Y'all gonna get T'Challa again. And so what I loved about this movie and the way that they did it, they honored Chadwick, right? They gave you the woman lead, right? They dealt with all the trauma. And they still opened up in the storyline to give everybody else who are the real Marvel fans. Because we're not the real Marvel fans. Let's just keep it real. Like the bona fide comic book reading, that's not us. We love the fact that we love the whole black storyline of superhero. You're going to get your T'Challa, folks. It's going to be 15, 20 years from now.
Just Lupita and Chadwick, Nakia and T'Challa's love story was a real love story. And I just feel like them just throwing that out like they just had a baby. Like he wouldn't be respectful and honorable of her to marry her and make her queen and all this kind of stuff to be like,
but she
just
didn't
had a
want
baby
that.
and I left you in Haiti.
She didn't want that. And the other part about remember she didn't want that.
I know that she didn't want to be queen and she wanted to be able to live her own life. I remember that.
She didn't want that. So that to me made it make sense. Rich people always got secret babies out there, so that ain't nothing new. But that was strictly about continuing the storyline. That was strictly about being heart-wrenching. And for folks, if for some of y'all who like to leave before the credits roll, you missed it because it was in the first after post-credit scene.
It was the first after credit scene. And it was a long scene. Normally after credit scenes aren't that long, but they did full on, oh, your name is Toussaint. He's like, well, Toussaint is my Haitian name.
That
my
really
real name
was heart-wrenching. That was heart-wrenching.
He was like, my name is T'Challa. My father is King T'Challa. And listen, and even Shuri's whole final scene.
You didn't love that?
No, I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I was like, are you serious? Are we really what in the black people stereotype? I'm a baby's mama whose husband died. I don't like any of that. I just did not like it.
I didn't get the black people stereotype out of that at all. I did. I loved. Go ahead.
One more thing. I did like Shuri's finally accepting her brother's death and going through those scenes of Chadwick. Yeah. That to me, that's when I started to get emotional because it was really just like, that's him. and he made this role, and he was
Yeah.
gone way too soon, and it's
Yeah.
just so it's tragic.
Everything about that part was the exhale moment. Everything, it really made me, because the Rihanna song to me is so melancholy when you just listen to it. But now when you put the emotion of the scene with the song, it gives it a different meaning and a different feeling. I thought this movie, well, let me talk about the one thing. The one thing that I did not like about the movie is this whole fight scene on this boat.
Oh yeah, that was a
And
bunch of BS.
the fact that they had the whole fight scene on the boat, the Wakandans should have gotten slaughtered.
Do we know that many black people who can swim? No, we don't. So
hold on. I'll let you talk about all the
nation.
stuff you hate. Let me finish up what I hated. So, how far was this desert that they were fighting at? The ship was destroyed. What ship came and picked them up? Remember, the ship was destroyed. He destroyed the ship that they were in. They crash landed on the desert when they got into their fight.
I thought you were talking about the boat. I'm sorry, I'm getting ship and boat confused.
Yeah,
you mean
yeah.
spaceship.
The spaceship that flew them out there was destroyed. So they didn't fly back on that. With a sign on it. They didn't fly back on that. And all of a sudden, out the blue, they come up there sitting perched on a brand new, I guess it was another ship that went out the back door of the ship and went and followed them and sat over there to the side like, y'all ready to come back? Y'all ready to come back yet? I didn't like that. I was like, okay, Wakanda should have gotten, because mind you, they're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So every time you kill one of the Talokans, there's gonna be some more of them coming about the boat, coming out the water, like you know.
I'm with you on that. I didn't get that either. Like, there's millions of them, and there's 30 of y'all.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How is this?
Yeah. No,
Math ain't that.
That's the one part I was just like, okay. All right. How long did they stay on the edge of that boat, spearing at him, waiting for are we gonna die now? Are we getting ready to die? Are we getting ready to die? And then all of a sudden, here comes both Sheri and Namor saying, all right, y'all can stop fighting. We going home.
I feel like this is where maybe Ryan had been so focused on the emotional carry and the story of the Talokans and Shuri's storyline. He was like, we got to have a fight scene here somewhere. Marvel's going to say it's not a Marvel movie. So let's just slap this together on this boat. For about 15 minutes, and then we got our Marvel credit.
Yeah. So let's talk before we get out of here, because we are running a little bit long, but thank you for indulging me. And everybody, thanks for all the comments and everybody that's been hanging out with us. So the two, I've been reading up a little bit on the suits that Okoye put on, which I guess the Blue Angels, they end up becoming kind of the guardians for Shuri. Is that, and maybe Omar can help us with this. Is that, I think the Blue Angels in the comics end up being like the personal bodyguards of the Black Panther. I think that's interesting. Those characters were introduced. Who else was introduced? Of course, Riri Williams and what her role is going to be. My understanding is that Dr. Doom is connected in some way, shape, or form to Ironheart, or one of the characters, and he may be coming soon. But all in all, some people, I would definitely give it 8 or 9 out of 10. Is it something I would watch again? Absolutely. I'll watch this movie again when it gets to streaming. My kids were empowered.
Gonna have to watch it again because she fell asleep.
Yeah, your mom.
My mama gonna have to watch it again because she fell asleep. So we had to watch it again, and I would watch it again too because I want to see more things and learn more stuff. And it was one thing I didn't like, and this is just because I feel like the story got a little convoluted because Chadwick left it to change a bunch of stuff. But I do feel like the story was a little convoluted. Dr. Doom was supposed to be in this movie.
Well, that'd have been too many characters,
Too many, that's a lot. The whole Talakon thing and Namor and Namor and them, that could have been a movie on its own. I hope they get their own movie because I would like some explanation about how they've existed and nobody has kind of pointed it out because it wasn't like. But it wasn't like Wakanda where we'll do these outreach missions occasionally. But we're poor, but we doing outreach missions. And that's normal. We speak at the UN and this and that. Namor and them have never even surfaced. They never surfaced.
Well, he's the only one who can really live on land for a significant amount of time. He's a mutant. So that's the other thing that I've read and heard is that because he's a mutant, that's also a way for them to introduce the X-Men and that side of it.
So he's a mutant?
He's a mutant, yeah. He says that in the movie that he's
Oh.
a mutant. So so that's also
Oh,
a
the
part.
pointy ears and the wings on his
Right,
feet.
because
That
nobody
makes
else has
sense.
pointy ears. Nobody else has pointy ears. His skin is not blue, right?
No.
You're right, and so that's a part of Namor being introduced was 18 years in the making. I guess let's just show this to everybody. So this is our resident guy. Namor
This
being
is, this is our
introduced
comic book guy.
18 years in the making. They waited for the right time to bring him in. Namor is one of the original Marvel characters. Going back, the fact that all this has been going on without Namor, based on what I've read, is something in itself, right? So I'm interested to see how this fight's going. I'm interested to see how they're going to bring. Will Namor be a part of the future big series? They got 3 or 4 movies. It's supposed to be huge, kind of like what they
He
did for
debuted
Endgame.
in 1939.
That's what I said. He as the
Right.
original. My understanding is that he was the original character.
And his
And
other name is the Submariner. So
right,
his Namor, also known as a Submariner or
yeah.
Mariner, however you want to pronounce that.
Submariner, yeah, yeah. So he's been around. He's one of the originals, and so we'll be interested to see how he's going to play into because they got to do more with him, no question. He was a great character. You got to know him a lot, and I look forward to what else they're doing. All right, anything else we're missing? Let me see. Let me think. Anything else we're missing? I think that's it. I think we
I think
pretty much.
that's everything. I
I
mean, I
think we
think the
spoiled the
movie
entire movie in the last hour. What do you think?
I think we did. And again,
Mm.
regardless of where we have issues with the movie was beautifully shot. Ryan
Yes.
Coogler is a great director. He deserves his flowers. It was a
Yep.
great movie. There's only a couple of things me and Miguel would tweak. And I think most people feel that way. Like, we just
Yeah.
want to tweak this and that. So I think
Right.
it was
Right.
great.
Right.
Thank you to everybody who listened to us rant on.
Yo, for real, I appreciate every last one of y'all for hanging out with us today. Make sure y'all, if any part of this you want to come back and take it out, and we'd love to get your feedback. What do you think about what you heard? What do you think about our take on it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What scenes
And
did
are
you love
you
or
ready
hate?
for phase 5 of the Marvel Universe? It was the last movie in phase 4 for Marvel. Now it's phase 5 coming in now with all the new films and TV shows that are coming out on Disney Plus. So let's see where they go from
Yeah,
there.
it's gonna be hard for me to keep up with all this stuff. I'm just enjoying it. I'm just enjoying every step of it. That's all I'm doing. It's fun. It's a nice fantasy to get away for all y'all out there telling myself this ain't real. It ain't historically accurate. Man, get a life. It's cartoons. It's something to be fun about. And so yeah, we like to come watch these movies because it's good. It's good for getting away and from all the real world's going on. Thanks everybody. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Wakanda forever. Peace and the blessings. Peace and the bye bye.